If you have a relentless inner critic and find yourself thinking or feeling negative things about yourself regularly, then this is for you. First up, you need to know that your brain is enormously powerful. It's like some kind of high-tech supercomputer. The average person has between 12,000 and 60,000 thoughts per day. That's huge. But what are we using all of that thinking for? According to the data, for the average human being, approximately 80% of those tens of thousands of thoughts are negative. And what's worse, 95% of them are repetitive. The same old thoughts that you thought yesterday and the day before. In other words, if you found yourself thinking something like you are stupid or unlikable or bad yesterday, then it's likely that you'll think those same thoughts again today, and potentially thousands of times. So we have supercomputers in our heads, but we're using them to write the same old negative inner blog posts over and over again. How can we change this? Well, the human brain is plastic. Under the right conditions, it has an incredible capacity to learn all sorts of new information, including the way we see ourselves, the way we react to the events in our lives, and just the way we think in general. Contrary to popular opinion, though, the adult brain isn't always plastic. Children are like sponges, but grown-ups, not so much. But there are ways to create the right neurological conditions for plasticity, no matter your age, and one of the big ones is curiosity. A study published in 2014 started by having the participants rate their curiosity to learn the answers to a set of trivia questions. Then their brains were scanned as they heard each of these questions again later, but before they were given the answer to each of them, they were shown a random image of a neutral face. Then, to conclude the study, they were tested on their ability to remember the answers to the questions, but they were also given a surprise test on their memory of the faces. This study revealed 3 major findings. First, when people were highly curious about the answer to a question, they were better at learning that information. Makes sense. More surprising, though, was that once their curiosity was aroused, they also showed better learning of unrelated information that they encountered but weren't necessarily curious about. That was the faces. In other words, they remembered the faces better when they were curious about the answer they were waiting for. And finally, they were better able to retain information learned during a curious state over a 24-hour delay. So could curiosity give us a way to start changing the negative thoughts we have about ourselves? Maybe. If you do just one thing that sparks your curiosity every day, then you could turbocharge your learning in all sorts of areas. But wait, if you did that but then carried on thinking your usual negative thoughts, you'd probably just ingrain those even further. So what if you were to get curious about your thoughts, wondering which ones repeat and which ones feel disempowering or negative? Then what if you got curious about what you'd like to believe about yourself instead and what your life could look like if you did? The process is really quite simple. You notice a negative thought, but instead of just going with it, you get curious about both it and its positive alternative, meaning that you're in a state of curiosity while thinking the more empowering thoughts and therefore learning them. In that study I mentioned, the participants only saw those faces for 14 seconds. So just what could you train your brain to believe if you devoted 14 seconds to this kind of curiosity practice every day? Try it out and let me know how it goes. Happy wondering.